Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Xbox One X and compare it against the Xbox Series S and see how both these particular gaming consoles hold up in 2025. Now, in a lot of ways, these particular gaming consoles are probably not worth buying for every single person out there, but there are some really good advantages of buying these types of consoles. And I say that to say because, when we take a look at kind of the gaming landscape in general, you do kind of have some better options out there than these two, like the Xbox Series X and some of the other consoles as well. But regardless of that, if you want to go ahead and pick up either one of these particular gaming consoles or some better ones I'd recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular gaming consoles. When you take a look at these types of systems, I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind here is that these types of systems are basically, some of the better ones you could buy. The Xbox Series S is a really good system. It's the latest and greatest right now, where the Xbox One X was the last generation flagship. So you do kind of get some different types of layout here depending on which way you kind of take a look at it. So albeit it's not the biggest deal in the world, it is going to be one of those slight differences that you will see from that standpoint. Now, in my personal opinion, the main thing I will definitely tell you is that with the Xbox One X, this one was a really good flagship of a console. I feel like when Microsoft made this console, they did a really good thing. It was a really good idea for them to kind of make a console like this because it looked really good. It was a, black console. It looked really good. I think it might came in like a white one as well, just like the One S. And this thing looked really, really good. You had the disc tray on the front. You had the ports on the back. 2 HDMI ports, which was pretty crazy. And for the most part, when I took a look at the Microsoft, landscape at that time, definitely something like an Xbox One X still did a really good job for the most part. And like I said before, I feel like if you're going to go through and pick up a gaming console, this thing still looks very, very good. With the Xbox Series S, this one's a slightly different type of system. And the main reason for that is because this type of console is basically giving you a system that's going to be a little bit different. So the thing you have to remember here with that console is that you're going to be getting a, no disc tray type of console inside of it. So that one is going to be a little bit of a downside there too, just because that type of system and that type of console, it's going to be giving you a more limited type of experience for the most part. So it really is just dependent on which way you kind of want to take a look at it. But once again, if you are going to go through and pick up a gaming console, you probably want to go through and buy one that's going to be giving you a little bit of a better type of experience here. And as far as we can tell for the most part, the Xbox One X kind of gives you a little bit of a better type of layout as far as I can tell in some cases. Not in all cases, but in some cases that could end up being the case. Now, on top of that, when you take a look at kind of some of the other layouts that are kind of going on here too, I think another important thing to keep in mind here is when you're taking a look at these types of gaming consoles, something like the Xbox One X, because this was the past generation, this thing isn't necessarily going to be like the main focus of Microsoft anymore. So a lot of the capability, a lot of the layout that you might have inside of this console, again, it's a little bit outdated, but it's not anything crazy, but it might be a little bit outdated depending on how you're kind of looking at it. When it comes down to its kind of the layout of the console right now, the Xbox One X inside of it was basically giving you 12 gigabytes of RAM, which was actually pretty good, but it was giving you a hard drive built inside. So it was a 1 terabyte hard drive, which I still think is probably okay for a lot of people. But, if you're trying to go through and play some other big, heavy, intensive games, you're definitely going to be getting a much better experience here inside of something, like an Xbox Series S. That one is definitely going to be giving you a much better experience there. The Xbox Series S is going to be giving you basically 10 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD, but it starts with a 512 gigabyte hard drive, 512 gigabyte SSD. So only SSDs in the latest console, no more hard drives. So that right there, you're going to see a massive performance jump. And even when it comes down to its CPU, GPU, there is some similarity. I would say the Xbox Series S is probably the more stronger one here for the most part. But with that being said as well, you're still getting like a very good, capable console between both, if I'm being honest. But something like the Xbox Series S is probably the one that I look at as probably being the more stronger one for a majority of people out there. So again, it really is just dependent on which way you kind of want to go about it. But it still looks to me that a console like the Xbox Series S is probably the one that would make a lot more sense in my opinion from a performance perspective. But also from a future standpoint, like there's only games, like no more games are really being developed with the Xbox One X in mind. Like yes, there are still games being developed for the Xbox One X probably. There's still a humongous amount of people that still play on the Xbox One X even years later. The fact that we already have the Xbox Series X and it's been out for like 5 years now, there are still a ton of people who use something like an Xbox Series, X right now. So that right there is another one of these really key things to keep in mind here, because you're probably wanting to go through and pick up a device that is going to last as long as it can, right? And with something like the Xbox Series X, it has a higher likelihood of kind of giving you a better experience from that standpoint. So if you are wanting the device that is going to be lasting for a longer period of time, we're probably going to have to take a look at something like an Xbox Series X and a Series S that's going to last longer in terms of software support and in terms of everything like that. So again, it really is just dependent on how you're going to look at it, but that right there is going to be another one of those small things as well. Now, when it comes down to its gaming library, the Xbox One X has one advantage over the Series S, and that is with its the games and software that's available. The Xbox One X does give you that, disc tray. So that right there is going to be a massive, massive improvement. Having a disc tray built inside of your gaming console is such a massive thing, and the Series S does not have it, and it will never have it. So that is going to be a really big downside depending on how you're going to kind of take a look at it. Because in my personal opinion, if I'm taking a look at something like an Xbox One X, having a disc tray inside of the gaming console is going to be so important. And that right there is going to be a massive improvement just in and of itself. So it may not be the main reason why I would go through and buy something like an Xbox One X, but I would rather have a disc tray inside of my gaming console than not have one. That allows me to go through and buy used games. That allows me to have a humongous library of games already available. And although the Xbox Series S is also backwards compatible, it's not at the same level as something like an Xbox One X. So that is just one of those other small minor things to keep in mind there from that particular situation as well. And on top of those things, when you kind of take a look at the size, the capability, the Xbox Series S is such a smaller console, but it performs really, really well and it looks really good. I feel like a console like the Xbox Series S, it's more publicly available right now. You don't have to really buy it used. You can just kind of buy it as it is. And I feel like getting a console like the Xbox Series S kind of makes more sense to me than the Xbox One X. But there are still some advantages for the One X. Number one, it has native 4K gaming, it has that disk drive, and it's available in the used market, so you can buy it for a much cheaper price. But the Series S, it gives you those next generation features. It gives you kind of a powerful system inside with an SSD. It gives you really good game support. It gives you portability. It's a smaller console you can take with you. And because it is that next generation, the games coming out now are suited for this console. They're not really suited for the last generation. They're only suited for this generation of console. So that's kind of the one thing to keep in mind. But I still feel like a console like the Xbox One X is still going to be giving you a really good time. It's still going to be giving you lots of features and lots of good stuff built inside. But if you are wanting the faster phone or faster gaming console, it does make a lot more sense to buy something like an Xbox Series S for the most part. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.